if you go to a negotiation and you don't have the White House or the Senate, I mean, you're lucky to get anything, really, I guess, unless you threaten default, which no one wants to do. But we don't have 15 votes this time. You want me to call you chairman? I think Chairman Mao ruined that. I'm going to call you congressman. How's that? Is that better? We don't have 15. Don't Patrick. Do it. The markets won't sit around for 15 votes on this.
No, I think we have the votes to pass this today, and I think that'll project some level of confidence to the American people we can get things done. Look, you said it. In a negotiation, you're not going to get everything you want. And we didn't get everything we wanted. House Republicans, we don't have a majority in the Senate. Republicans don't have a majority in the Senate, and Joe Biden's certainly not a Republican. So we had a really tough negotiation, but we had good conservative wins. Fiscal restraint. This is the largest spending cuts package Congress has voted on. This is substantial reforms to our permitting process. So not just energy projects, but everything we build will go faster as a result of this bill, taking the permitting time from 7 or 8 or 9 years down to 1 or 2, with just a single federal agency getting a stamp of approval so you can move on and do your project. You get a thumbs up and thumbs down quickly. That's going to help America move faster, and it's going to help the GDP grow more. We have work requirements that are consequential and meaningful to help folks that are on social welfare programs that are able-bodied without kids, and says they need to get back into the workforce. And we stopped the student loan debt repayment pause that Joe Biden's extended 9 times, and we put it in law. So there's substantial wins here on the conservative side of the ledger attached to this debt ceiling that raises the debt for the next 18 months.
Yeah, Senator Cornyn, I just saw he tweeted, the provisions on work and welfare in the debt ceiling deal are incremental progress that the GOP can build on. The Journal says the debt ceiling deal is a step towards restoring a culture of work. So you're getting some, you're getting some positive comments. What happened in the Rules Committee? Why all 6 Democrats they weren't taking the president's calls or something? Did they just want to be able to say, I hate those Republicans and we're not going along with this when they knew it was going to pass anyway? What was that about? What? Did a single Democrat vote to move this out of rules?
Well, look, I think they're further to the left than the average Democrat. But the fact is that shows, in my view, it shows that they're not happy with the package that the president's team negotiated.
Good for
I get
Republicans,
that.
right? You can use that.
I think so. It's going to be helpful for the Republican vote total today. But look, no one should be quite pleased with the nature of this package. It's a negotiated package in a divided Washington, but we need to pass it, and we need to get some fiscal restraint out of it and policy wins, bag those, and move on to the next fight. And the next fight becomes really the political one. In the election year for the presidency to control the House and the Senate.
The damage is done. Democrats already passed all this stuff because you know why? Because they had the majority. They were able to. Why'd they do it? Because they could. So elect more Republicans. It's already been done. You got to, right? I mean, that's why I don't understand the real hardliners. This is not the way to elect more. A default is not the way to. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, but that's just not a way to. That's not a way to elect more Republicans. Is to force a default.
Well, and look, going past that next date, Secretary Yellen updated the numbers. June 5th is the new X date. I believe her. I think I think she speaks the truth here on when we have to raise the debt ceiling by. And having updated that number in the midst of our negotiations, it says that she believes that this is a really challenging time for cash management in the government. So I don't think we don't want to play footsie with this. This is close enough for the likes of most of us.
Congressman, you were involved in the negotiations. You're somebody who understands your caucus very well. I mean, is this going to be a done deal? What's the whip count look like at this point? How many Republicans will vote for it?
Look, it's is the House of Representatives. Nothing's a done deal until the vote's closed, and the vote will be this evening. So today will be a long, grinding day. And nice to start with you and Joe this morning.
That's the best place.
It's going to be
that's the best place. The important people are watching.
Well, exactly. I wanted to be in the right place to start my day. But it's going to be a long day. But I think the votes are there on both sides. Democrats will produce some votes, and in the nature of a deal like this, both parties have to produce votes. But Republicans will carry the lion's share of the votes today in the House of Representatives, as we should. Then it'll go to the Senate, and likewise, they'll have a similarly divided vote.
Massey was big. That was big because he's sort of a standard bearer. But you got like Congresswoman Nancy Mace, and she's, on face value, she's right. So we're cutting spending a little, but we're not even getting back to where we were before the ridiculous spending it was necessary, obviously, some of it during the pandemic. But so on face value, that's a good point she makes. You can't even extract that to get back to where we were before. So is she going to go finally? Would she be a thumbs up on this?
Who knows? I am not going to speak for any individual member. They have their own opinions about this. But let me just convey to you what we did in terms of appropriated spending. That's the money we spend year over year that Congress passes bills to enact. What we did there is outside of veteran spending and defense spending, we cut our spending levels back to FY22. Still too high. I admit that. We weren't able to go further, but that is going to mean that outside of veterans and defense, we're going to have substantial cuts to government. That's a huge win. And Joe Biden and his team are far more progressive than I think the American people understand. They actually want to spend more money. They don't think our debt is of serious consequence. And they want to continue spending money at a rapid clip. Our limitations here were by leaders of both parties saying that we should not touch Medicare and we shouldn't even approach Social Security reform for the next generation. So our negotiations were limited before I even stepped into the room, and we're really dealing with a small portion of federal spending, about 40% of federal spending that we spend year over year. The 60% was left untouched, and we'll have to come back to that at some point so we can balance our books for the long term.
Kayla Tausche, I don't know if you heard us talking with her earlier this morning, but she pointed out that the next issue, even if this gets passed tonight and then by the Senate and signed into law, the next issue is going to be whether those 12 appropriations bills can actually be written, signed off on in time to meet all of the requirements that have just been laid out. Otherwise, we could be facing a government shutdown in September. What are the odds? How difficult and how complex is that part of the next process going to be?
Well, it's going to be less complex because we have an incentive for both parties to come to the table. We ratchet down the caps on defense spending and non-defense spending if Congress fails to act by January 1st. And then we would have a 99% continuing resolution, meaning we would have spending cuts put in place both on defense spending and non-defense spending. Defense spending should motivate Republicans to an appropriations process, and non-defense spending should motivate Democrats to the appropriations process. But it gives us a window to actually get it done.
The other complaint I hear is that, okay, instead of 80,000 IRS agents, they're going to hire 79,500. Should we view, and I'm just making those numbers up, but is this another stay tuned? This is incremental. We're going to revisit this. We're still going to work on that, or did you kind of throw in the towel on that?
No, we kept fighting for more IRS cuts. They really plussed up IRS agents. They want to ramp up the hiring of agents and the purchasing of technology. What we did in this agreement is we took their enforcement dollars for this year that they added, $1.4 billion, and we banked that. We took it away from the IRS. That means the IRS won't be able to hire new agents for the rest of the fiscal year. And we already have an agreement with the White House that we will take $10 billion more out of the IRS funding over this next fiscal year, and the following fiscal year, $10 billion more. So we didn't take it all. It's going to hinge upon who is elected president on whether or not we can take the rest.
Right.
But we got Joe Biden to give us a down payment, and we're going to restrict the growth of the IRS. Not completely, but a good down payment.